My baby was left in the car. She can't do anything.
Is your car secretly one of the biggest threats to their safety?
This as the company faces a federal investigation into its 2021 Model Y vehicles.
In 2025, several automakers quietly issued recalls that most drivers never even heard about. These weren't minor fixes or optional service bulletins. They were real recalls, affecting thousands of cars on American roads. But because of subtle language and limited publicity, many owners didn't even know their vehicles were affected. Some were caused by electrical faults, others by structural failures or critical safety system flaws. But all of them shared one thing in common: they were handled quietly. From long-trusted brands to modern tech-driven models, the year saw a surprising list of names being recalled without much noise. So, let's count them down. Number 12. Volkswagen Atlas. When the Volkswagen Atlas first hit the market, it quickly became a favorite among families for its spacious cabin, solid German engineering, and refined comfort. But in 2025, the Atlas quietly landed in the middle of a serious recall that didn't make big headlines. A door latch malfunction that could cause the doors to open unexpectedly while driving. It sounds unbelievable, but reports from owners began to surface late in 2024, describing how rear or front doors would suddenly unlatch when hitting bumps or during highway turns. At first, many thought it was a one-off issue, but when the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration started tracking multiple similar complaints, Volkswagen initiated a recall, though it wasn't widely promoted as one. Instead of a bold announcement, VW referred to it as a customer satisfaction campaign, a subtle phrase that didn't raise public alarm. The issue stemmed from a faulty mechanical latch component supplied by a third-party manufacturer. Moisture intrusion and thermal expansion caused the latch spring to weaken, eventually triggering the door to pop open under certain pressure conditions. Volkswagen's response was understated, but swift. Owners were advised to schedule service visits, where technicians replaced the latch assemblies and installed updated seals designed to prevent future moisture buildup. The recall affected both the standard Atlas and the Atlas Cross Sport, with models built between early 2023 and late 2024 being the most impacted. Although there were no reports of severe injuries, the potential danger was obvious. An unsecured door on a moving SUV poses a significant safety risk, especially for families with children. What made this recall particularly quiet was how it was framed. Instead of mailing out bold recall letters, VW sent soft notices through dealerships or via the Volkswagen app, labeling the issue as preventive maintenance. Many owners who didn't regularly check their service notifications never even knew their Atlas had a potentially hazardous defect. The 2025 Atlas recall is a reminder that even well-regarded brands can occasionally stumble. And sometimes, those stumbles happen behind the scenes. Number 11. Mercedes-Benz GLE. The Mercedes-Benz GLE has long represented comfort, technology, and German precision in the luxury SUV market. But in 2025, even this high-end model wasn't immune to a quiet recall that caught many owners off guard. The issue involved the vehicle's eCall emergency communication system, which in certain cases failed to contact emergency services after a crash. On paper, the malfunction seemed minor, just a software glitch. But in reality, it could mean the difference between life and death. The eCall system is designed to automatically alert local authorities in the event of a severe collision, transmitting the vehicle's GPS location and other critical data. However, a misconfigured control unit sometimes caused the system to deactivate or send incomplete signals, leaving first responders unaware of the crash. Mercedes-Benz didn't issue a loud press release or major media campaign about the defect. Instead, owners received brief service reminders or low-key software update notifications through the Mercedes Me app or during scheduled maintenance. Most didn't realize these updates were actually part of a federally recorded recall action. The recall covered several GLE variants, including the GLE 350, GLE 450, and AMG GLE 53, built between late 2023 and early 2025. According to NHTSA documentation, fewer than 40,000 units were affected, but that didn't lessen the seriousness of the issue. Mercedes engineers traced the problem back to a fault in the telematics module software that disrupted the data relay sequence after sudden deceleration events. Rather than replacing hardware, Mercedes implemented a quiet over-the-air fix. Owners who regularly connected their vehicles to Wi-Fi received the update automatically, while others were told to visit dealerships. In typical Mercedes fashion, the company framed the issue as a proactive software enhancement, avoiding the word recall altogether in public communications. Fortunately, there were no confirmed injuries linked to this defect. Still, the very idea of a safety system failing in a luxury vehicle worth upwards of $70,000 raised eyebrows among industry watchers. The Mercedes-Benz GLE recall serves as a subtle but important reminder. Even the most advanced vehicles rely on complex networks of software and sensors, and when one small code line goes wrong, the entire safety chain can quietly break. Number 10. Subaru Outback. The Subaru Outback has built its reputation on rugged reliability and go-anywhere confidence, a favorite among drivers who want a capable crossover that can handle both city streets and mountain trails. But in 2025, Subaru faced an unexpected problem that challenged that image. A quiet recall due to cracked windshield frames that could compromise the vehicle's structural integrity and visibility. The issue first appeared in online owner forums and local dealer reports. Drivers began noticing small, spider-like cracks forming near the edges of the windshield, even without impact. Some cracks expanded rapidly, leading to concerns about visibility and potential roof strength in the event of a rollover. At first, Subaru called it an isolated batch issue, but by early 2025, the problem had spread across several production months of the Outback and its sibling, the Legacy. What made the recall quiet was Subaru's approach. Rather than issuing a full-scale public announcement, the company sent out polite letters describing the defect as a preventive inspection campaign. These letters recommended owners bring their cars in for an evaluation, not explicitly stating that the vehicle might be unsafe. For many, the subtle language meant the issue went unnoticed or ignored. The defect itself was traced to improper bonding between the windshield glass and the surrounding frame during assembly. In certain temperature conditions, particularly cold weather, stress fractures could form around weak adhesive points. Subaru's engineers warned that, if left unrepaired, these cracks could spread and even cause the windshield to detach during an impact, reducing airbag effectiveness and structural rigidity. Dealers were instructed to inspect affected vehicles, replace the windshield with reinforced adhesive, and in some cases, reapply structural bonding material to strengthen the A-pillar area. However, Subaru's decision to keep the situation low profile puzzled many safety advocates, who argued that the issue warranted more public awareness. Despite the seriousness, Subaru remained calm in its communication. They assured customers that the recall was purely precautionary and that no injuries had been reported. Still, the 2025 Outback recall highlighted how even brands known for safety and reliability can quietly face production flaws that go unnoticed by the public. It was another example of how transparency sometimes takes a back seat to brand reputation. Number 9. Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Jeep Grand Cherokee has long been a symbol of rugged power and American adventure, blending off-road capability with upscale comfort. But in 2025, the Grand Cherokee found itself in an unexpected spotlight for all the wrong reasons. The problem? A steering rack failure that could suddenly make the SUV nearly impossible to control. It started with sporadic complaints from drivers who noticed stiff steering, grinding noises, or sudden loss of steering assist while driving. For a vehicle known for its sturdy handling, these symptoms were alarming. Initially, Jeep dealerships treated the issue as routine wear and tear, replacing components without linking them to a broader defect. But, as reports accumulated, the pattern became impossible to ignore. By mid-2025, Stellantis, Jeep's parent company, quietly launched a recall affecting select 2023 to 2025 Grand Cherokees and Grand Cherokee L models. The recall documentation revealed that the electric power steering rack could experience internal corrosion due to improper sealing. This corrosion could cause the rack's motor to seize, leading to a sudden and complete loss of steering assist, or in extreme cases, total steering failure. What made this recall so quiet was how it was communicated. Instead of a bold public notice, Jeep issued low-profile technical service bulletins to dealerships, labeling the problem as a steering system calibration and replacement procedure. Many owners only discovered the recall when bringing their vehicles in for unrelated maintenance. The potential danger was serious. If the steering assist failed while driving at highway speeds or during tight cornering, the driver could lose control in seconds. While no fatal crashes were officially tied to the defect, several near-miss incidents were reported to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Jeep dealerships were instructed to inspect the steering rack, replace corroded units, and apply an improved sealing system to prevent future moisture intrusion. The fix was covered under warranty, but many owners remained unaware that their vehicles had been recalled at all. The Grand Cherokee's recall underscored a growing concern in modern vehicle safety. When automakers rely on electronic steering and software-based systems, even a minor seal or calibration error can lead to life-threatening situations. Jeep's quiet handling of this issue showed just how easily a major safety flaw can slip through the cracks, even in one of America's most trusted SUVs. Number 8. Nissan Rogue. The Nissan Rogue has been one of America's best-selling compact SUVs for years, thanks to its fuel efficiency, comfort, and family-friendly design. But in 2025, a quietly handled recall revealed a troubling flaw beneath its reliable reputation: a fuel pump failure that could cause the engine to stall unexpectedly, even while driving. The problem first came to light through scattered reports from owners describing sudden loss of power on highways and difficulty restarting their vehicles. Many assumed it was a simple fuel sensor issue or bad gasoline, But investigations quickly pointed to something deeper. Nissan engineers discovered that the fuel pump module in certain Rogue models was manufactured with defective impellers that could warp or crack over time. When that happened, the pump failed to deliver enough fuel pressure to the engine, leading to hesitation, stalling, or total shutdown. What made this especially concerning was that the issue often appeared without warning. No dashboard light, no diagnostic error, just a sudden engine failure. Rather than making a public announcement, Nissan quietly filed the recall with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration early in 2025, affecting more than 450,000 vehicles built between late 2022 and 2024. However, the company framed it carefully, calling it a Fuel System Performance Improvement Campaign. This subtle language meant many owners didn't realize it was a safety-related recall. Dealerships were instructed to replace the entire fuel pump assembly with a redesigned version featuring reinforced impeller materials. The service was free, but notification letters were easy to overlook. Some were even embedded in digital maintenance messages within the Nissan Connect app, meaning thousands of owners may never have seen them at all. The stalling issue raised obvious safety concerns, especially when it occurred on highways or during overtaking. A few minor accidents were reported, though no serious injuries were linked to the defect. Still, the potential for danger was undeniable. Nissan's decision to keep the recall understated was likely an effort to preserve brand confidence, but it drew quiet criticism from safety advocates who argued that stalling at high speeds should have warranted a louder response. In the end, the Rogue's 2025 recall served as a reminder that even dependable vehicles can hide critical flaws, and that quiet fixes aren't always in the best interest of the people behind the wheel. Number 7. BMW X5. The BMW X5 has long stood as a symbol of luxury and performance, a premium SUV designed for both comfort and power. But in 2025, even BMW wasn't immune to an embarrassing issue that resulted in a quiet recall few owners ever heard about. The problem centered around the airbag deployment sensors, which in certain impact conditions could delay activation by a fraction of a second, long enough to make a difference in a serious crash. The recall came after several low-speed collisions in Europe and North America where airbags failed to deploy properly. While BMW quickly investigated, the company kept the communication to a minimum. They described it internally as a restraint system optimization program, a phrase that downplayed the severity of the defect. According to documentation later filed with the NHTSA, the issue involved a flaw in the crash sensor module software. When a side or frontal impact occurred under specific angles, the software sometimes failed to send an immediate deployment signal to the airbags. Although most airbags still fired, tests revealed a slight delay, just milliseconds, but potentially critical in real-world conditions. The recall affected multiple trims of the X5, including the xDrive 40i, xDrive 50e, and the high-performance M60i. Production batches from late 2023 through early 2025 were impacted. BMW emphasized that the issue was rare and situation-specific, but safety regulators weren't entirely satisfied with that description. Rather than launching a public campaign, BMW quietly rolled out software updates through dealerships and over-the-air downloads. Many owners received no mention of a recall, just a friendly message recommending a system improvement update. For those who took their X5s in for regular service, the update was applied without much explanation. BMW's handling of the situation reflected a larger industry trend, controlling the narrative by framing serious recalls as minor enhancements. While the company stated that no injuries were reported, experts noted that airbag timing discrepancies could make a critical difference in preventing chest and head trauma during a collision. Despite the seriousness of the underlying issue, BMW's loyal customer base largely remained unaware that their luxury SUVs had a potential life-saving feature that wasn't performing perfectly. The 2025 BMW X5 recall proved that even in the world of precision engineering, small software errors can lead to big consequences, especially when they're quietly brushed under the rug. Number 6. Hyundai Tucson. The Hyundai Tucson has been one of the brand's biggest success stories. A practical, affordable SUV with a reputation for reliability and modern tech. But in 2025, Hyundai found itself facing another challenge to that reputation. A quiet recall of the hybrid and plug-in hybrid Tucson models due to a potential battery fire risk. It wasn't the first time the industry had seen such issues, but what made this one stand out was how discreetly Hyundai handled it. The problem was linked to the high-voltage lithium-ion battery packs, which in certain cases could experience internal short circuits caused by contaminated manufacturing material. These impurities, tiny metallic particles, could pierce through battery cells over time, creating hotspots that led to smoke, fire, or complete thermal runaway. The first reports came from owners who noticed a burning smell or saw "check hybrid system" warnings before their vehicles lost power. A few incidents of smoke were documented globally, prompting Hyundai engineers to launch a quiet internal investigation. By early 2025, the company decided to recall affected vehicles, but it avoided dramatic press coverage. Rather than labeling it a recall, Hyundai called it a battery inspection and improvement program. Owners received calm, friendly messages urging them to visit the dealership for a software update and system inspection. In reality, this inspection involved checking the battery pack's internal voltage levels and replacing any units showing abnormal readings. The recall covered thousands of 2023 to 2025 Tucson hybrid and plug-in hybrid models equipped with batteries supplied by LG Energy Solution. Hyundai's technical team rolled out a software patch that limited charging capacity temporarily until a full inspection could be performed. Some vehicles even received replacement battery modules, though this information was largely kept out of press releases. Thankfully, no major injuries or accidents were reported, but the risk was serious enough that Hyundai advised parking vehicles away from structures as a precaution. Despite this, the low-key communication meant that many owners never realized the recall's urgency. This incident highlighted a growing problem across the EV and hybrid market. Manufacturers trying to manage recall optics quietly to avoid alarming consumers. The Tucson situation in 2025 was one of those moments where brand image seemed to matter more than transparency. Even a well-regarded SUV like the Tucson showed that in the era of electric power, silence can sometimes hide a spark. Number 5. Chevrolet Silverado. For decades, the Chevrolet Silverado has been America's workhorse. A truck trusted for hauling, towing, and taking on the toughest jobs. But in 2025, even this dependable pickup faced an issue that Chevy preferred to keep under wraps: a transmission software malfunction that could cause sudden gear shifts, engine stalling, or loss of power while driving. The problem affected the latest generation of Silverados equipped with the 10-speed automatic transmission, particularly in the 2023 to 2025 production runs. Drivers began reporting strange behavior: abrupt downshifts at highway speeds, delayed gear engagement, or unexpected neutral drops while towing. Initially, Chevrolet technicians attributed these issues to isolated calibration errors. But after enough cases piled up, it became clear something was wrong with the transmission control module software. In early 2025, General Motors quietly issued what it called a technical service campaign, rather than a formal recall. The phrasing made it sound routine, but it was, in fact, an official recall filed with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The software defect caused the transmission to misread input signals from the torque converter, confusing the vehicle's control system and forcing it into protective mode, often resulting in a sudden power loss. Instead of publicizing the issue widely, GM rolled out updates through dealerships and over-the-air systems for newer models. Many owners who received the patch were never told their truck had been recalled. The update was framed as a performance optimization. Those who ignored the notice could continue driving without realizing their truck might unexpectedly stall in traffic or during towing. Dealerships were instructed to reprogram the transmission control module with revised logic and, in some cases, replace sensors in the torque converter assembly. Some technicians privately noted that the fix made gear changes noticeably smoother, a sign of how serious the original flaw had been. While there were no reports of major accidents or injuries, several drivers described near misses when their trucks unexpectedly lost power during highway merges or steep climbs. Chevrolet's decision to keep the matter quiet drew subtle criticism from industry insiders, who argued that transparency should outweigh image concerns, especially for a vehicle as iconic as the Silverado. In the end, the 2025 Silverado recall served as a reminder that even the toughest trucks can suffer from invisible flaws, not in their metal, but in their code. Number 4. Honda CR-V. The Honda CR-V has been a pillar of dependability for over 2 decades, often topping reliability charts and earning a reputation as the go-to family SUV. But in 2025, even Honda wasn't immune to trouble. A quietly handled recall revealed a seatbelt pretensioner defect, a small but critical flaw that could render one of the most important safety systems ineffective in a crash. The issue began surfacing in late 2024, when a few owners reported that their seatbelts weren't retracting properly after minor collisions. Upon investigation, Honda engineers found that certain CR-Vs had pretensioner units, the mechanism that tightens the belt instantly during an impact, that might not activate as intended. In severe cases, the belt could appear latched, but fail to hold passengers securely if the system didn't trigger at the right moment. The affected vehicles included both gasoline and hybrid variants of the 2023 to 2025 CR-V lineup. The root cause was traced to a supplier manufacturing defect in the microgas generator responsible for igniting the pretensioner. Impurities in the material mix could lead to slow ignition or complete failure, especially in high humidity or cold weather. Instead of announcing a major recall, Honda labeled it a safety improvement campaign. The wording was subtle, and many owners interpreted it as a routine inspection rather than a potential life-saving fix. Dealerships were instructed to inspect seatbelt assemblies, replace defective pretensioners, and update software controlling airbag synchronization, all at no cost to the customer. Honda's communication was notably quiet. The company avoided the word recall in its letters and press materials, framing the campaign as a proactive effort to enhance occupant protection. This approach reduced public alarm, but also meant thousands of owners never realized the urgency of the issue. The situation frustrated some safety experts, who argued that any defect affecting seatbelt performance should be treated as a headline-level concern. But Honda's decision reflected the cautious tone automakers have increasingly taken, fixing issues quietly to protect both consumers and brand reputation. No major injuries were officially reported, but the implications were serious. The recall served as a stark reminder that modern vehicle safety depends on a chain of systems, and even one weak link, however small, can make all the difference. For the CR-V, the 2025 recall was a quiet blemish on an otherwise spotless safety record. Number 3. Tesla Model Y. The Tesla Model Y has become one of the most popular electric vehicles in the world, praised for its range, technology, and sleek minimalist design. But in 2025, Tesla faced a quiet but alarming issue: a steering column defect that, in rare cases, could cause the wheel to detach from the steering shaft while driving. The issue first emerged after a handful of Tesla owners posted videos online showing their steering wheels suddenly coming loose in motion. At first, these incidents were dismissed as isolated cases, but internal service bulletins later confirmed that a small batch of vehicles had been assembled without the proper retaining bolt torque, a critical component that ensures the steering column stays locked to the wheel assembly. In traditional fashion, Tesla didn't issue a conventional public recall right away. Instead, the company rolled out an over-the-air notification, labeling the issue a steering column fastener inspection. This phrasing made it sound routine rather than urgent. However, NHTSA filings later revealed that this was indeed an official recall, one affecting thousands of Model Y units built between mid-2023 and late 2024 at Tesla's Texas and Fremont plants. Tesla's unique recall handling process blurred the lines between a safety campaign and a silent software update. Owners received messages in their car screens urging them to schedule a steering system check at the earliest convenience. The service itself was quick. Technicians inspected the steering column bolt, applied fresh thread-locking compound, and retorqued the fastener to factory specifications. What made this recall especially controversial was Tesla's limited communication about the potential risk. The company avoided using the word detachment in its messages, despite the NHTSA describing it as a loss of steering control hazard. Many owners never realized their car was recalled because the notification appeared alongside dozens of minor over-the-air updates. Fortunately, no fatal accidents were reported, but several close calls highlighted just how serious the defect could have been. Tesla later reinforced assembly procedures and implemented automated torque-checking sensors on its production lines to prevent reoccurrence. The Model Y recall in 2025 reflected Tesla's ongoing challenge, balancing its reputation for cutting-edge innovation with the responsibilities of traditional safety compliance. For a company that prefers software fixes to public admissions, the steering column issue was a quiet but powerful reminder that even futuristic cars still rely on something as old-fashioned as a bolt. Number 2. Ford F-150. The Ford F-150 has been America's best-selling vehicle for decades, a symbol of strength, dependability, and everyday utility. But in 2025, even the mighty F-150 wasn't immune to a quiet recall that caught many owners off guard. The issue stemmed from a brake system malfunction that could lead to a sudden and partial loss of braking power. It started when drivers began reporting an inconsistent brake pedal feel, sometimes soft, sometimes firm, and occasionally dropping lower than normal during use. While some attributed it to normal wear, Ford's engineers quickly realized the problem was much more serious. The brake master cylinder assembly in a specific batch of trucks had an internal seal defect that allowed brake fluid to leak into the booster. This gradually reduced hydraulic pressure, increasing stopping distance, a risk that could easily lead to collisions. Instead of a broad public announcement, Ford issued a customer satisfaction program early in 2025, covering over 300,000 F-150s built between 2023 and 2024. The notice avoided the word recall altogether, telling owners they could improve braking performance by visiting their local dealer for a free inspection. The quiet tone made many drivers think it was a voluntary update rather than an urgent safety issue. Dealerships were instructed to inspect the master cylinder and booster assembly, replace affected units, and flush the brake lines to remove any contaminated fluid. The repair took about 2 hours, but the way the recall was handled made it easy for many owners to overlook. Some even received the notification buried in Ford Pass app updates, where it was easy to miss among software messages. Safety watchdogs later pointed out that the NHTSA had received dozens of complaints describing frightening near-miss situations, trucks rolling through intersections or taking longer to stop when towing. While Ford reported no major accidents tied directly to the defect, the potential danger was undeniable. Ford defended its quiet approach by claiming the issue developed gradually and remained detectable to the driver. But critics argued that brake failures deserve public transparency, not subtle language. The 2025 F-150 recall served as a reminder that even the most iconic work truck can falter when crucial systems are affected. It also showed how big automakers often choose discretion over publicity, even when safety is at stake. Number 1. Toyota RAV4. For years, the Toyota RAV4 has been one of the best-selling SUVs in America, known for its dependability, practicality, and strong resale value. But in 2025, even Toyota quietly faced a major safety issue that most drivers never heard about: an electrical wiring harness defect that could lead to overheating, short circuits, and, in rare cases, fire. The problem was traced to a batch of improperly insulated wires located near the engine bay. When exposed to heat and vibration over time, the insulation could wear down, allowing the wires to make contact with metal components. This created the risk of a short circuit, which could disable power steering, stall the engine, or even spark an electrical fire. The first signs of trouble appeared when a few RAV4 owners reported burning smells or sudden dashboard warning lights. A handful of vehicles experienced smoke from under the hood, prompting Toyota to quietly investigate. By early 2025, the automaker had identified the root cause: a supplier error in the wire sheathing composition, which made the insulation more vulnerable to cracking under extreme temperature cycles. Toyota filed an official recall notice with the NHTSA, but instead of publicizing it widely, the company handled it delicately. The campaign was labeled a service enhancement program, a phrase that sounded more like a performance upgrade than a safety recall. Notifications were sent through the Toyota app, and physical mailers were styled as routine service letters. As a result, many RAV4 owners ignored them, unaware that their vehicle could be at risk of an electrical malfunction. Dealerships were instructed to inspect the wiring harness, add additional insulation material, and, if necessary, replace the entire assembly. Some dealers were also told to reroute certain wire bundles away from metal brackets to reduce friction and heat exposure. The recall affected both gasoline and hybrid versions of the RAV4 built between mid-2023 and early 2025. Toyota's quick technical response likely prevented larger incidents, but its quiet communication left many owners in the dark. No injuries or vehicle fires were publicly confirmed, but safety experts noted that the issue had all the hallmarks of a high-risk electrical failure. It was a rare misstep for Toyota, a brand that typically sets the standard for reliability and transparency. The 2025 RAV4 recall proved that even the most trusted vehicles can hide serious flaws, and that sometimes silence speaks louder than any announcement. Recalls happen more often than most drivers realize. But what's unusual about 2025 is how quietly so many of them were handled. Some were disguised as service updates or inspection programs, while others were buried in API notifications or dealership notes. On paper, every one of these issues, from a faulty wiring harness to a failing steering rack, was fixed. But for many owners, the story ended before they even knew it began. That silence raises a question. How many of us are driving vehicles with hidden defects we've never heard about? The truth is, even the most reputable automakers occasionally choose subtlety over spotlight. They prefer to fix things quietly rather than risk panic or bad press. Yet those quiet recalls still involve real risks. Risks that can affect safety, performance, and peace of mind. So if you own one of these vehicles, take a moment to check your VIN on the NHTSA recall database. It's quick, it's free, and it might just protect you and your family. Because sometimes, the most dangerous problems are the ones we never hear about.